Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I'm really excited about the project that I've got to share with you today. If you've been watching the channel for a little while, you will know that I love collecting vintage linens, and I've been on a bit of a collecting mission to collect up beautiful, colourful vintage doilies. Really, some of them are just the most incredible works of art. Christine, don't get so excited that you don't put your words together. Look at this one. Isn't that just amazing? And if you've also been watching, you would have seen that I've also shared approaches where you can use products like Inktense, Derwent Inktense, to colour up doilies like this one here. But I'll also be talking to you about how you can use more neutral coloured ones, adapt them to this project idea. So I've been collecting these up with the idea of turning them into some wearable art, because I do see that the individual doilies are their own little artworks, and I want to find a way to really honour them so they're not sitting in boxes. I want to keep them intact because I don't want to destroy them unless they're already damaged, in which case I think it's fine to chop them up. But if they're in perfect condition, I want to keep them in that condition so that whatever I do with them preserves them, but also gives them a sort of an active life right now as well. And so the perfect opportunity to put these ideas into action came when I got the invitation for my big brother's 50th birthday. And the theme of that is wacky pants. Now I'll come to the stories behind that theme in the video as we're working through the creation. But it made me think, I would love to create a pair of wacky pants, or what I'm going to be calling them, fancy pants, using coloured doilies and using a pair of existing black linen pants that I have, but which I don't tend to wear that much because in winter I wear thicker pants, and then in summer I tend to wear skirts and shorts and other things like that. So this is going to make a very good sort of mid-season pair of pants. And the idea is that, yes, I will wear them to the party and they'll be a little bit of fancy dress, but I want to make them as something that's wearable as well, that I will wear to stitching little groups, or I might take them up to my Fleur Woods retreat. Something that is a bit of a talking piece with fellow linen aficionados, and hopefully something that I might even wear around locally as well. Not sure where that little piece of wood came from. So I've got a base pair of black pants. Now probably most of us have got a pair of black pants in our wardrobe, and so I'd say with a project like this, think how you can adapt what you've got. And I think you could equally adapt it to a skirt, a dress, a jacket, shorts, whatever you like, but I'll be making my fancy pants. So yeah, it's a pair that's got some elastic at the back, it's got some pockets, so we'll need to sort of work around those. It's got a tie bit, and so far I have attached on, just so that I could give you a bit of a look how it's going to look. With stitching, I've just done some little holding stitches to hold all around the outside, and some little holding stitches around here as well. So I thought the first step for this would be to kind of talk you through what I'm planning in terms of how I'm planning to arrange them. I thought we could then go through my doilies and get a bit of a short list of the colourful doilies that I want to use in this project, and then I can show you how I'm stitching them on, because I've come up with a good technique to avoid stitching the two sides of the pants together, because I'm not going to take the pants apart. I'm going to be stitching them while the pants are still together. So maybe first up, let me just clear a bit of space. Move all the doilies off to the right. Big pile of them. Maybe I will show you what I'm thinking in terms of the organising of them on the piece. So I'm thinking I would like to do it in such a way that they're kind of touching each other but not totally overlapping each other. And then luckily I've got some smaller pieces which might have actually sometimes been harvested from bigger doilies. I've got a whole bag of sort of smaller ones that I can use to fill in some of the spaces. Now I'm probably not going to use my very thickest, the sort of thicker knit ones. I'm going to try and stick to the ones that are a little bit thinner. And I'll probably try and have contrasting colours sitting next to each other. And then I'll try and also make sure I've got ones that are crossing over the sort of the seam of the leg, so that it's not like there's just a front and a back. I want it to be curving right around the leg. I'll also make sure that when I'm coming up into the fly area, I'm thinking I'll sort of have them offset so there's nothing sitting too centrally or too suggestively. I won't say any more about that, but just kind of thinking about the placement as I go. But I think the first step will be to pick out some of the doilies that we want to use. And as I say, I'd like to kind of stick to some of these finer types of doilies and not the really thick woven, not woven, the more sort of knitted, almost like a wool consistency, I guess. I think these thicker ones I'm going to use when I make a jacket project, where I'll probably might not be putting them on a base fabric. I haven't yet decided actually on that, and it might be more of a vest, but first up I will focus on this project. So let's keep our pants out so we can kind of look at the contrast, because that's what I'm really wanting to play up, is with the black. I think it's just going to provide such a fabulous contrast, although I think the camera is struggling a bit with the black, so I might actually change tack and I'll just move the black to the side, and I'll move you down so I can see what you can see, and we'll start having a look through the doilies and looking for ones that are what we want to use. So I think that one's quite good. The other thing I'm sort of focusing on is I want to see enough of the black through it. This one I definitely want to use because it is absolutely stunning. Again, having ones that are different sizes I think is going to really help. I'll put these little ones back in the little bag, although maybe I should get out the ones that are going to be good from the littlies. So I might put those, actually I'll keep those ones out, put the other ones back in the bag. So these ones, these knitted ones, I think might be just a bit too big and thick. Again, that's probably too thick, but that one's pretty good. Those ones are good. Probably a bit too thick. Good. I think I must have put these in a dryer. I must have got these on holidays one time, I think, because they've probably gone in a dryer on holidays and they've got lots of little fluffy bits on them. So these ones are all probably pretty good, I think. This one is obviously one that's been harvested from, but I can definitely use some of these ones. That should be okay. These ones should also be okay. That's got quite a bit of fluff on it. Goodness gracious. What's this interesting one? Probably not brighter enough colours, so I'll keep these ones out. And yet, certainly if you aren't wanting to go full on bright and you want to create something more classic looking, have a look in your stash, and again you can get these in all different colours, but have a look at the more sort of natural toned ones, because I think they could look absolutely beautiful against the black. Let me just give you a quick look see at that. So just have a look how lovely that starts to look. And you wouldn't even have to cover the whole area. You could just sort of stagger them around a bit more. But I think I would quite like, and it may well be something I do down the track, maybe as a dress or something. I think it would just be a really classic look to have, these set against the black. And obviously if you have these ones, you can also colour them up, like I did the one that is already sewn onto the pants here. So we've got that little pile. Let's keep going through. This one could be, it's starting to probably err on the side of being a tiny bit too thick, so I might put that in my sort of second level pile. I might put that second level pile over here, out of the way. This one I think is pretty good. This one's too thick. That one's probably just mid-range, but I do like the pattern and the colours on it. So We'll let that stay in the mix. I'm just going to check that there's enough light. Yep, I think the camera's just giving me a funny funny angle. This is probably just a bit too dark and somber. I want to keep these really nice and bright. This is a decent thickness, but again, I quite like the colour and the shape. This one again has got a bit of texture to it, but I do like it, so I'll keep it in the mix. This is beautiful, but it's more muted tones, so I think I'll put that in the other pile. This one, probably a little bit thicker, and I'm not sure I want squares in. I'm thinking I want circles and things. This one's definitely a thicker one, so I'll put that in the other pile. This green's a lovely colour and, yeah, decent, the right sort of sizing. This has probably been taken off a larger one, but I'll keep it in the mix. Yeah, I think I want some where they are more densely crocheted, and then others which are more sort of spread out, so happy with that one. This one's definitely a thicker one, so I'll put that in the other pile. Another thicker one. As I say, I've got all my neutral coloured ones, so I'll move those over. This one's beautiful and a good weight. This one is a little bit thicker, but being smaller, I think it might still be okay. This one's a thicker, small one, so I'll put that in the other pile. This one's definitely very textural, so I think I'll keep that for when I do my coat. It's got these amazing sort of bits around the edges, so I'll put that in the other pile. These ones are so delicate and beautiful, so definitely put them in this. Again, a square one, more muted colours, so that will go in the other pile. This one is a bit thicker, and I think I've already got something in that colour, so I'll put that in the other. This one is nice and fine, put it in here. This is kind of middle of the two, so I might put that over in the other pile. This one, because it's a bit more sort of textured and like frilly around the edges, might be better on something like a freestanding jacket, I think. Did I already have something that looked a bit like that? I'll put this in, and then I'd probably only use one of those, although I suppose different legs of the pants. Again, this one seems quite textural. It's just whether I'd be able to get it to stitch down the flat. Possibly, but it looks like it might be a bit of trouble for that. This is another beautiful neutral toned one, so I'll put that with my neutrals for another project. This one I think again would be better on something a bit more textural because it kind of is taking a different shape. This one's a thicker one. So delicate, this one, beautiful. Even though it's mainly neutrals, it's got those little pops of yellow. Got this one, nice fine one, so we'll put that in the use pile. This is another one in that same sort of colour tone as these. As these ones down here. And it is a bit thicker, so I might put that in my other pile. This one I think must have got some staining. I did wash a few of the different colours together and a couple stained across, but I actually don't mind that. But again, it's quite textural, so I'll put it in the other. This one again is quite textural. I think I've got another one, so I might, oh, let's have a look. Okay, so the bigger one I'll definitely put in my other pile. This one I might put in here and just see if it will go somewhere. That can go with my neutrals for another project. Again, this one's quite textural, maybe with a bit of an iron. It would iron flat, but I'm not sure. And then, what about this? This is gorgeous. No, I think I have to put that in. This one's definitely more of a knit sort of consistency, and that one as well. That could be fine. That should be okay. Isn't that one lovely? Beautiful. It's just amazing the variation in these. That one's definitely a bit more textural and a bit thicker. That one's similar to the, oh no, so the other pinky one we had before, that was just a standard coloured heart. Here's another one in that same colour tone that we're getting a bit of a collection of. This one's definitely one of the thicker ones. That's thicker. That's definitely thicker as well. This one I think I can put in my other jacket pile. Again, this one's quite textural and bumpy. This is another thicker one. That one is definitely a bit more textural than the other ones. So I'll put these two in my coat collection. Put that in my coat. That would be great across the sort of, yeah, back of a coat or something. These ones I'll put in here. More of these ones in this colour. That must have been a very, I know we had yellow linoleum when we were growing up in our kitchen. So it must have been around that time, around the 70s, that was a very popular colour, that yellow again. But again, just so beautiful. I think I could get this to sit down flat. It just depends. No, I might put that in the coat pile. I can always go back to the coat pile if I run out of ones of enough colours. That one's definitely a thicker one, It's thicker. More the neutrals there. This is a rectangle, so it does depend whether I want to, but I might put it here because I can always put it more on a sort of angle if I don't want it to just be looking like a rectangle. That might be okay. Another one of those colour scheme. And another one of those colour scheme. Okay, what else have we got? I do think it is nice to have some that are in the more neutral tones, but with a pop to intersperse in. This is definitely a more whitey neutral one. That one I think I'll be able to get sit flat and just have these little bobbly pieces which might need an iron to get them to sit out as flowers. And then I've got this one, which is, I think, good. So let me tell you about my brother and why Wacky Pants has ended up as the theme for his 50th birthday. So when we were growing up, my brother loved wearing shorts, even in winter in Melbourne. Now, granted, we don't get as cold as you do in winter in other parts of the world, but it gets cold enough. Most kids are wearing long pants, long sleeves. Even at high school, where he had a uniform and was meant to wear long pants, he went through the process to negotiate to be able to wear shorts all winter long, even though he used to travel to school, catch the tram, stand out waiting for the tram, etc., do a walk at the other end. And even to this day, it's very, very rare to see Rob in a pair of long pants. Or a long top. In fact, it's pretty rare for him to see him wearing a long top either. And so he used to particularly love, not for school because he had to wear the uniform shorts, but in his spare time he loved wearing what were called board shorts, which must have come from the sort of surfing folks, but he loved them in really wacky designs. And my Nana of the Travelling Rick Rack project that I've been doing lately, which I'll be sharing an update on soon, used to make him them in all sorts of wonderful designs that he would pick out. And so they were really loud, vibrant designs that he would always choose in the fabric, and then Nana would sew them up for him. And when he met his now wife and mother of my beautiful nephews and niece, she jokingly banned him from wearing them because they were so atrocious in her eyes. I think he did still wear them, but I think she periodically hid them or periodically destroyed some of them. But when Rob and Michelle came to be married, Rob turned up to the wedding, which was a beautiful wedding set in the outdoors on a cliff overlooking the sea in Western Australia. They have the most beautiful coastline over there. Rob turned up to the wedding wearing a pair of bright coloured board shorts over the top of his wedding suit. And he was also wearing a pair of flippers with his wedding suit. And so the bride arrived in the car and got out and walked across to where the wedding was being held, looked down the aisle that had been laid along the grass, saw my brother standing there in his board shorts, wacky pants on top of his formal wedding suit and wearing his flippers, and mouthed the words, "You're dead, Rob." Now, luckily, Michelle has a good sense of humour, and fortunately, Rob wasn't dispatched with on that day. And the wedding did go ahead, and Rob pretty soon after took off the wacky pants and took off the flippers and was in the appropriate attire to be married to his beautiful wife. But yes, there are wedding photos that are evidence. I'll have to see. I don't think I've got one, but I'll pop one on my community posts so you can see Rob in all his finery, or I might share an update when I come back and show you the finished wacky pants or fancy pants. Not sure about this one. It's quite large, but I'll put it in the pile because it is a nice fine knit. So that's how the wacky pants theme came around. So it is good to know that my sister-in-law has a good sense of humour, and that's why the theme. So I think a lot of people are heading to the op shops to get their wacky pants, but I thought, why not make a pair that, one, I can wear as wacky pants, but two, make them as fancy pants that I can wear other times as well. So again, this is quite a thick one, so I've just been sorting them as I've been talking to you, so hopefully you're kind of seeing the theory that I'm applying. See, that's a mid-range, but it's probably a bit thicker. And we'll get on to starting to arrange some on and sewing some on, so I can show you the technique to do that. Isn't that beautiful? That goes with that other little set. So this is another one where I've had a bit of colour leak on, but I don't think it's a problem really. Is a bit thicker actually, so I'll put that in my coat one. That's definitely a thicker one. These are definitely in the thicker, definitely thicker, but beautiful. That one's thinner. That one's a bit more knit. Those are thicker. That one's probably a big format, and it's more a pale neutral. I've got a whole lot of pinky sort of ones, but I think I'll leave those in my pale neutrals, more pales and neutrals. Yes, I don't think any of these. I've got some that are burgundy ones, but I don't think they go with the brighter colour scheme. I think I've already had one of those through the mix, but we'll keep it there. These are thicker ones. These all are, I think, in my thicker category. What about this one? I'll keep that for the jacket. Put that with my more neutrals. That one could be okay, I think. That one could be okay as well. Thicker and bigger. So I think there's probably actually another stash that I haven't sorted through yet of coloured doilies, but I think I'm going to have enough to work with for this project, with plenty left to spare. Keep that one. Okay, so let's clear. I've got a box behind me, so let's put the ones that I don't need in that box. So we have a smaller set on the desk. Sun is going down outside, so I'll just need to make sure the lighting is adjusting to our changing light. And so the other person I want to mention, and I'll pop in the description as well, is a lovely lady called Mary Walker, who I met at the Fleur Woods retreat. And Mary makes the most amazing upcycled clothing, and she had an incredible dress that she'd made with colourful doilies for the Mardi Gras in Sydney, and she brought it along to the Fleur Woods retreat, and I was super inspired, and that's when my mind really started whirring on these projects. So I want to give Mary Walker Textiles a call out, and as I say, I'll include a link in the description. And I don't know if you can hear Travis barking. I don't know if that means Alex is home. He's been in the city today for work, and I'm going in on Thursday. So let's see if we can get it to go into focus. See, it's not going to love the black, I don't think, to focus on. So it's probably lucky that we were working on some other bits without the black. It's just not loving the black, but that's okay. We shall see how we go. So let's have a bit of a play and see what we want to put up here, and then we can have a go at stitching some of it on. So as I say, I just want to make sure I'm not kind of having anything sitting super centrally across that area. I want to have it sort of offset. Got yellow up there. It's probably too big. I want something probably that's going to kind of come. I guess I'll have to think about the fly as well. So I'd probably actually just have something, let's have a think. Have a ponder. This one I think I'll put further down the top because there's a good chance I might be wearing a top with it. I've actually got another project I've been working on that might be a top that I would wear with this. What colour? Maybe a white and yellow. Could be nice. Just thinking, because if this needs to be able to undo, then I can probably actually only have something coming sort of round to there. I suppose I could leave one bit unattached and it could just sort of sit across. Or do I have one come like this and then I can put something else that might stretch over? Yeah, I guess we can work on that, or maybe that's where some of my smaller ones come into play, because I will need to be able to unzip and zip up again. So we'll have to think about that. Maybe I do. Because also I've got to probably tuck one into I want to keep my pockets as well. Maybe I actually use one of my plainer ones. Or maybe I do two here. Maybe that's what I do. I do have a lot of these yellowy ones, so maybe I use some of those up the top here. Maybe that's a go. That could be good, actually. Yeah, I think that's okay actually, because I just didn't want to have anything sitting, too centrally across the middle, but probably, yes, some that are different on either side. And this one links in well, and I don't mind that the yellow sort of continues up. So I'll just let you see that goes up to there. I can always use some smaller ones up on the belt, or not the belt, on the waistband, but I think that will work pretty well. So what I might do is just put, and with the pocket, I'm going to fold my pocket on the inside out of the way while I put the pin in, and I'll do the same when I come to stitch in a moment as well. So I'll just put a couple of pins in just to hold it broadly where I want it. But you know me, I'm not a pin lover. Okay, then we're going to get a piece of card. So I'm using an old piece of card that I wrap my fabrics, etc. around. And what we're going to do is slip the card in, and what I'm going to do on the inside is flip the pocket out of the way so it's not under the area where I am stitching. And then I'm going to position my pants so they are a bit easy for you to see and for me to see. And I'm going to grab some of my thread. Where has the thread I was using yesterday? I've lost the thread. Isn't that a tragedy? I won't use the thread I was using. It was a lovely Gutermann black thread, but I can't see where it has escaped to the floor. I did hear something fall. Let me move my chair. I've just managed to drop one of my templates. That's okay. There we go. So that's what I heard fall to the floor before. So we will grab a nice needle. Actually, it might be good to use a longer one. I've got my other threads. So I think a long and fine one would be quite useful for this. Probably not as thin as a milliner's, but it is a nice fine thread, so it should be right. I'll put my thread back in my bag so I don't keep losing it and having it roll away. And I'll have a sip of my lemongrass and ginger tea. So I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I hope my little wacky pants story has given you a bit of amusement. Probably some of you are appalled and would have definitely maybe not thought it was so funny, but yeah, no, definitely for the family. It was a very relaxed wedding too. There were kids there, and I think everyone enjoyed it. Probably not for a very formal wedding, but yeah, definitely suited the humour of definitely my brother, but also my sister-in-law does have a very, very good sense of humour. She's a most fabulous woman, an amazing mum to my nieces and nephews. So the way I've started off stitching is the way I was thinking originally I would do it, but with the card in there, what it means is that you can actually just stitch from the front rather than going front to back, front to back. You can angle your needle in just where you've popped up, and then you can travel your needle across a little ways and then pop out, and you're actually using the cardboard that's underneath to make sure that you're not going to go back through and stitch into the other side of the fabric, or stitch into the pocket in this case. So again, I'll pop myself back in similar to where I had popped out. So on the front we're just doing tiny little stitches that are just popping up and popping down around the same point. So again, and I'm using a black thread because I thought black would be best. It will just look like part of the design. It will kind of blend in rather than trying to match to the colours of the doilies. And I'll just work my way around, anchoring it down as I go. And if I need to kind of stretch it out or get it to sit flat as I go, I need to keep checking that the pocket is on the other side of the card, which it is. And I can just keep travelling my way around. And so just doing little stitches on the front, tiny little ones up and down, and then travelling it a tiny bit further on the back. So I'm sort of on the front, I'm just going to come up and down very similar spots, and then probably I'm doing about a finger width when I travel the needle. So back in it near where I came up, and then travelling the needle over to sort of the next place where I want to be anchoring it down. And I'll travel around the outside first, and then I'll travel through and stitch down the middle. So I'll do a bit more of that with you, and then we can maybe pin a few more on so that you can sort of see how it's starting to come together. But I don't think it will actually take too long to do. If I get it done in time, these pants may even get an early outing. There's a wonderful stitchy get together that another lovely lady that I'd actually been chatting with online beforehand, but the lovely Sarah has organised for a bunch of Melbourne folks to get together and have a stitchy get together. So that's happening this Saturday. So if I get this done, I could even debut the pants at that gathering, which would be a lot of fun. So just keep holding your sort of card, and you might need to sort of periodically position it. You could also use, and I might even give it a go myself, you could use a quilt clip just to kind of hold your fabric onto your piece of card. I think that could work quite well. And I did have a think about with the pants, they've got plenty of sort of, I guess, spare room in them, because I didn't want to have pants that were too tight. One, because I don't like tight pants, but also with the process of sewing these on, I just wanted to have a bit of give in the pants so that the additional sort of bulk on the outside wouldn't create any issues in sort of extra tightness. I don't think it will be a problem, but it was just something I had in my mind when I was picking out the pants to use. But I'm so glad that these pants are going to have a whole new life. So I won't make you watch probably too much of this stitching, but we might do a bit more arranging, because I think that's kind of the fun part, isn't it? But yeah, basically the plan will be to go all the way around the outside of the shape, and then I'll probably come back through and sort of spiral my way in so that all of it is stitched down. But I might, for now, I'll just might actually knot off there, and and I'll put the knot, I'll put the thread through to the back, and I can always then just pick it up a bit later on. Put my thread through to the back, and I can unclip my cardboard, and then let's have a go at doing a bit more arranging of how we want our pieces to go. I do have my nice little applique pins hiding somewhere around here as well. Yep, there they are. So I may even use those actually instead of my big pins, I think. So again, I'll just sort of, well, that's stitched down now. So it's probably a good thing as well when you're stitching, just periodically give it a bit of a stretch, so that the pieces will sort of sit up where you want them. So with this one, I'll just need to, keep it clear of the zip. So did I just have a pin there? Yes, I did. So I'll just pin this piece here. We might end up, I mean, I think the doilies will be quite forgiving in there sort of where you position them, but yeah, I like the sort of angular. I don't want it to look too regimented in its positioning. So again, when I'm putting the pins in, I'm just making sure the pocket is pushed over to the side. And even when you're putting the pins in, you could actually leave the cardboard behind, because again, that would help you, or you can put your hand behind. Obviously, as you go down the leg, it might be harder to have your hand behind, so the cardboard might be helpful. And in fact, we can give it a go here. Let's just do that. Put a pin here, put that in my pin cushion. So I wonder if I need to, that's where I've already stitched. I think that will be fine. I think it will stitch down flat enough. So I wonder if we want to now put, as I say, I want things wrapping around, so I probably use a bigger one there, but not huge. That could be kind of cool, and then maybe a smaller one in that gap there. And as I say, I don't kind of mind that some of these colours, this is almost becoming like a bit of a central piece that then is exploding in colours upwards from it. So yeah, I don't mind that at all. So let's pin this one in place. Let's move my piece of card. Maybe I can actually put the card under the whole section where we're going to be working. And again, with the pocket, I think I will just make sure, I mean, I can always sort of tuck them just slightly in, and I was thinking here I could bring one over the pocket, but let's just start with this one as it is. And I don't think I mind if there's sort of a gap, because I think I'd rather that than overlapping them too much. That will work pretty well. So with the cardboard underneath, let's just see how it goes doing the pinning. And the great thing is, I mean, if you do make any mistakes with stitching down, or you decide ultimately you want to reposition something, it is just little hand stitches holding it in place. So it's going to be pretty easy to make any adjustments you need. And as I say, down the track, if you decide that you want to get your doilies off your piece, if you did just want to do this as a sort of a limited time piece, it's keeping all the doilies intact, unless there are any that you do decide to chop up. And I just think how much better to have them on a pair of pants that you're going to wear than have them sitting in a box somewhere. But yeah, do be careful, and I would suggest you do a wash of any ones that you're using, because you might find some of them do release colour, like I found with some of my pinky reddy ones. But I think these will have now released their colour, and probably when you wash them with one of those little colour catcher things for the washing machine, which I definitely do try to remember to use when I'm washing things, but I don't think I did on the batch that did actually have a little leak of pinky colour. So that's wrapping around nicely around the pocket. So let's just have a look how we might want to approach the pocket. So what have I got? I don't want to use something in a contrasty colour. No. That's too big. I want something probably, I guess I could use one of the bluey ones. Again, these have got fluff from the previous drying on them. But I suppose I could use something like that. What do we think? So it kind of links to some of the other colours in there. Unless there's, no, that's too the samey. That would waste too much of that one. Again, that would probably waste too much of that. Oh, I do have this one, and this is a cut up one, so I can actually cut. I could use that. That would be probably perfect actually, I think. So I might do that. I'll cut this one. And usually these sorts of doilies, they don't tend to fray too much when you cut them. Just thinking, can I get it to position the way I want? I suppose I can actually sit this one slightly under this one here. Just slightly, and I can position this one a bit more over there. That could work. Generally not doing the overlapping, but here because it is a cut one, I'm not minding doing that. And again here I might do a little bit of sort of angling it under, even if I have to take up a few of the stitches I had done there, or I might just be able to kind of mingle it over. That's probably pretty good actually, without having to take any stitches up. Okay, and then if I did want to use a little one up here, have I got a small one? Could definitely do that, or I could leave the pocket just sort of as is. I suppose I can come back to some of those places. Up here, what colour do we want? I've got quite a few bluey ones, so that could be nice because again it brings the blue in. Unless I want to kind of use one of those coming up. Again, I might actually leave these spots to the end and then I can come back. That might be a better thought. So let's continue down the leg, and we'll just pin a few more on while we're together. And then at least you've kind of seen the plan, seen the theory, and I will definitely come back if I do end up getting it done in time for Saturday. I will give you I'll do a photo of me as well and show you the finished piece. So let's again play with working over the seam. And so if we're following this idea of kind of having the colours burst out, I could have some blues come out from here. Do I want a bigger blue? Do I have a bigger blue? I have one of these, which again might be just a nice little break from some of the really brighter colours, having some more of the neutral. So I do quite like that, and that fits very well into that sort of space there. So let's give that a go. So I've got my board underneath, which just allows me to not pin through to the back. Or not my board, but my cardboard. I'll have to head down soon and make some dinner. Just thought I'd film this straight after work. Very inspired. I was going to do it last night, but I kind of ran out of time because I've been busy sorting my craft room. I've actually got a huge pile of lovely fabrics. I've kind of gone through my big pieces of fabric. I've kept the sort of size that I need to keep for slow stitching, and I've got a big pile of beautiful vintage fabrics, and I think I might do a little bit of a de-stash soon, probably when I come back from my brother's 50th in Western Australia. But yeah, I might set up a little Instagram account and pop my de-stash. It'll probably just be for the Aussie folks, because it's just much easier from a postage perspective, and probably gets too expensive for you if I send overseas. But I'll let you know, and let me know in the comments if you're an Aussie folk and you'd be interested in knowing about when I do that. And I'm thinking once I've gone through my fabrics, I've got laces, I've got buttons, I've got lots of things that are probably beyond what I can reasonably use, and it's also going to just help me get my stash a bit more wrangled and just make sure I've got good space for things, but also just not keeping things at a quantity that isn't practical for me to be making use of. It's been really actually lovely just working through and going, yep, I don't need those meters and meters of that beautiful vintage fabric. I can just keep a section of it and pass it on to some other folks to use. So there's that. So let's keep working down the leg. So that's where the leg seam is. So we're getting a nice sort of, a nice transiting from the front to the back. So greens. Do I want to use that, or are there some other greens I want to use? Maybe this one, because then we've kind of got a full sort of solid colour there. And again, I don't mind these little sort of gaps. I could always fill them in with some very small ones, or I can just leave them as little breaks in the design. So again, I've got my board underneath, which will just help me when I'm pinning. Got my board here. Going to be a hard project anyway to show you the whole pants as I'm stitching them anyway, so it's probably good that we're just doing the pinning stage together. But I am very excited to get them made. And so yeah, it's around the beginning of October when I go over to Western Australia, and I'm going to be catching up with my lovely friend Christy. First time in person, although we feel like we've known each other for forever. So that's going to be really lovely. Christy's going to come down and we're going to spend a whole day together stitching, and who knows, we've got my parents and I are staying at a lovely house on the beach, so might take a nice beach walk, depends what Christy would like to do. But such fun to catch up in person with stitchy friends. I'm super excited. So that's down towards sort of Margaret River region in Western Australia. My brother's got a bush property with some bushland that's contributes to sort of nature conservation as part of his property. They were thankfully able to defend against an application where someone was wanting to put a shooting range at the back of their property, so thankfully council decided not to let that go through. Because if you've got a nature reserve that you've bought to maintain as a nature reserve, you don't really want guns firing off. I feel like I might need a contrast in colours here. So what's going to give me that? I guess there's a whole section of green, so this might be where I need to break away a little bit and do something maybe a little bit different. Is this where I might bring in something that's sort of multi-tonal? It's got bits of green, it's got bits of the other colours, so that could work. And that can then overlap onto the, oh look, I'm actually round too far onto the back. See, that's what we've now got to look at, is where are the pieces going to go? What else have I got? This has got some green on the edge. Again, is that, yep, that's going to, excuse my sneeze. Or maybe one of these. with these lovely little violets on it. Yeah, I think that could be good. I feel like this needs a little press with the iron as well. But yeah, I think that's got enough of a link, and then kind of links to that over there as well. Just have a quick look that there's nothing. Oh, there is this bigger one as well. But no, I don't think that goes as well. As I say, when I have a look at this after dinner, I can always move some doilies around if I'm not happy with how it's looking before I start stitching everything down. And it's probably also worthwhile, if you're doing this, you could just put a couple of stitches in each of them, then you could try the pants on and see that you're happy with how they look front and back before you do all the stitching down. I might even do that myself. So let's just making sure my card is behind again, and just needing to kind of stretch some of the ones which are a bit more sort of gathered up. It is good to probably give them a bit of a stretch as you pin them down. Yeah, I think the light, the focus is struggling with the black and the light and the, yeah. It's always a challenge just with a phone camera. I suppose it's not full filming apparatus. So yeah, Alex is going to stay back home because my parents have got a dog as well, and so Travis will be having his Auntie Lucy the dog come to stay, which will be lovely for Travis. And Auntie Lucy the dog absolutely adores Alex. Gets so excited when she sees Alex. I bought Lucy here just after my parents had got her, and Lucy was so excited to be in the house. I think Lucy had always, because Mum and Dad got her from the Lost Dogs home, I think she'd been always outside, so hadn't really had the inside experience. And Lucy went racing around the house, flew across the top of the coffee table, and then went straight out through the back door. But unfortunately, the back door had a sliding fly wire door on it, so she knocked the entire door off its rail. The door went flying, and she proceeded to go flying out the back door into the garden, and proceeded to continue to run around. So yeah, funny memories. Now she's much more placid, but she has a very good life with my parents, and I know she'll have a lovely time staying with Alex and Travis will love having his Auntie Lucy the dog here. Hopefully he doesn't get too jealous of the fact that she'll be climbing on Alex all of the time, I am sure. So now we're into the inside of the leg. That one's become a bit unclipped. So we've got purpley colours over here, and we've just added our purple over there. Or, no, that's going to be too big, I think. Oh, that could actually work. Maybe we can make that work. I'm going to have to kind of position it. Not quite sure how I'm going to position it, but let's give it a go. Is that going to be a good fit in there? I think that could work. And then we'd just need some others to, well no, actually that would come all the way up there, and then we'd just be working then on the other side of the pants down here. So yeah, I'll see how that one goes. I'll keep that to the side. Because yeah, I'm just thinking, don't know if I want too much purpley, but that's kind of a good combo of different colours, and it does transition nicely into this one as well on the other side. And it would serve to cover that area, unless I want to use some smaller ones or maybe some blues, because we are coming around to where the blues are, so that's a possibility. Could use a bright pink for total contrast. We shall see, but I'll keep this one out. But that's probably enough of the arranging. Let me just take the card out for a moment and give you a view of how it is looking so far. But you can see it comes together quite quickly once you start pinning everything in place, and I don't think the stitching will take too long. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Let me just give you a bit of a scan across the area. I can't wait to get this all stitched down and to try it on. But I'm really happy with how it's looking. You might think it's looking a hot mess, but let me know in the comments. These I would definitely happily wear these, not just for fancy dress. I think they're going to be great, and just even wearing it with a basic black top, I think they're going to attract a lot of comments and interest, and also help you find your kindred spirits who love vintage linens. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye everyone.